Hi, welcome back. When you were growing up, did your parents say certain things to you when they were angry with you or they were fed up? Especially when you were a teenager. So what I've got here are different sayings that we're going to look at. There are 20 of them that sometimes parents will say to their kids. They'll say to their children when there's something going on that really makes parents angry. All right? So let's look at these together. I'll ask you to repeat them, and if necessary, I'll give a little bit of explanation. Okay, number one. Don't you talk to your mother like that. Show her some respect. Repeat. So in that sentence, we see that maybe a child is not speaking properly to the parent. And in this situation, it would be the mother. Number two, and this is one you hear a lot, especially when your children are going to school. Go finish your homework now. Repeat. Or, go do your homework now. Repeat. And if you were like me or my brother, we didn't always want to do our homework right away. We wanted to go out and play before doing any homework. Now the next one is something you might hear a mother say to a daughter, especially a teenage daughter, and sometimes they like to dress a certain way when they go to school, and it's not always really acceptable. So a mother may say, "You're not going to school looking like that. Go put on something decent." Repeat. Now in the sentence, decent means acceptable. Maybe not sexy, not too revealing, because sometimes in different cultures, some teenage girls will like to look a little bit sexy when they're going to school. And it's not always acceptable. Now the next one is one that my mother used to say to us, and she did exactly like you'll see in the sentence. She said, "You watch your mouth or I'll wash it out with soap." Repeat. Now in this situation, that means you watch what you say. Either you're being impolite or maybe you're not using an acceptable word, maybe a curse word. My mother would take a bar of ivory soap and she would literally put the bar of soap in our mouth as if she was going to wash our mouth. And it tasted terrible, terrible. Number five. Now this next one is also pretty familiar with a lot of kids, I think. You'll hear your parents say, "You're not going out until you finish your homework." Repeat. Now, number six, the next one is when you have certain responsibilities as a kid when you're growing up. I know we had certain responsibilities. We had to keep our rooms clean, take out the garbage, dry the dishes, things like that. So, a parent says, "You're not going anywhere until you clean up your room." Repeat. Now, clean up your room is just an example. It could be other things that maybe a child has to do. Number seven. Now, the next one you hear quite often also, because oftentimes in families, so that things run smoothly, we have rules. Okay? So, a parent may say, "While you're living under my roof, you'll follow my rules." Repeat. And really, it makes sense because the house or the apartment or condo does belong to the parents. So they are providing shelter for the child. So the child should do what is expected of him or her. Number eight, and this is another one I heard quite often. "If I've told you once, I've told you twice. Don't slam that door." Repeat. Now, to slam the door is to close the door, making a lot of noise. Number 9, and this is something a parent may say to a child during the week. If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. You're not going to that party. It's a school night. Repeat. And I guess in this statement, it means that, you're not going out. You have to go to bed at a certain time because tomorrow is school. So forget any social activity during the week, especially after supper, right? Number 9, and this is something that a parent might say to a younger child who will not stop crying, and usually crying for no particular reason. A parent may say, "Keep crying and I'll give you something to cry about." Repeat. So in this situation, the parent is saying that if you want a reason to cry, I'll give you a reason. Maybe you'll give them a punishment or make them go to their room, whatever, and then they'll have a reason to cry. Number 11. Now this is one that is a bit, unacceptable because you will hear it sometimes. But when the parent says this, it doesn't really mean that he or she will do it. So here it is. I brought you into this world and I can take you out. Repeat. So what this means is, the parent gave the child life, and if he or she decides, he can terminate the life of the child, which is not acceptable, of course, but it's just something that a parent may say. And I have heard it in certain movies where parents were not happy with their children. Number 12, and this is one I also heard, especially, at mealtime. Maybe the child is not eating everything on his plate. He doesn't appreciate the food. And the parent will say, "Eat your dinner. There are people starving in the world who would give anything for this dinner." Repeat. And really what the parent is saying is true. There are lots of people in the world who don't have enough to eat, and they would be very happy to have a dinner, a meal served to them. Number 13, and this is especially true in certain cultures where their religious beliefs concern good and bad. And they talk about the devil having control over a child's actions. So a parent may say, "Don't sit there doing nothing. The devil finds work for idle hands." Repeat. So maybe you've never seen the word idle. Idle means hands that are doing nothing, if you're doing nothing. Idle hands. Number 14. And I've heard this one before too. If you think you can get away with this, you have another thing coming. Repeat. Now, what the parent means by this is the action that the child did is not acceptable, and if the child thinks that it's going to be okay, he will find out pretty quickly that it isn't, because the parent will tell him that it's not okay to do this particular action. Number 15, and this is one that mothers would often say to their children when they're unhappy with the child's behavior. You hear them say, "You wait until your father comes home." Repeat. Number 16. Oftentimes when parents are angry with their children, they will send them somewhere, usually to their room. Here are some examples. "Go to your room and do your homework." Repeat. "Go to your room and think about what we've just discussed." Repeat. So the second part of the sentence could be any kind of an activity which the parent thinks that the child should do. Number 17. Now this is an answer a parent might say to a child because the child wants to know why something is going to take place or why a certain rule is being followed in the household. The child says something, complains about something, and asks why, and the parent answers, "Because I said so. That's why." Repeat. So in this answer, it's showing the authority of the parent. Number 18, and this is similar to another one, but a little bit different. The parent says, "How many times do I have to tell you to go do your homework?" Repeat. Number 19, and in this situation, there's a confrontation between the parent and the child, usually a teenager. And maybe the teenager has a funny look on his face. We call a smirk. It's kind of like a smile, but it's condescending and kind of making fun of the parent. So the parent says, "Wipe that smirk off your face, or I will wipe it off for you." Repeat. Now, when the parent says that he or she will wipe off the smirk, that means they will probably slap the kid in the face to change the expression on the face of the child. It's not very nice, but sometimes, it happens. Number 20. A parent will say this to a child when a child has done something and it's not acceptable, and so the parent says, "Who told you that you could do that?" Repeat. And in this situation, the parent is checking to find out, well, where did my child get this information that he is allowed to do this action, whatever it is? Now, I have a bonus one for you. And it's something that fathers will often say to their children when the child goes to see his father or her father and asks permission to do something because he or she knows that the mother will say no. But they go to the father first. And the father, what does he answer? He says, "Go ask your mother." Repeat. Because the father's not stupid. He knows that mother will probably say no, so he better not say yes. He will be in trouble with his wife if he does, right? Okay, now, if you'd like to go back and practice these, again, go right ahead. And maybe you have a few examples of different sayings that your parents said to you when you were growing up. And if you'd like to, write them in the comments. There's something that I listened to quite a few years ago, and it was a recording. It was written by a lady, and I'll show you the reference on the screen. She wrote a book called Momlies and More Momlies. And momlies were expressions said by mothers to their children. And I listened to the recording, and I found it very, very funny because there was a lot of truth in these sayings. I had heard them before either from my parents or grandparents, or in movies, television shows, places like that. So it was quite interesting. And the written form of the book is available. It's still available on Amazon, but I think it's been reprinted several times. But it was quite interesting. Well, I guess I better close for today and say goodbye. And I remind you that if you have not subscribed, do so. All my activities are available to you for free. And it makes it a lot easier for you if you are subscribed to my channel to find these activities. All right? So I'll say goodbye for today, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.